Though Avatar fans have a reputation of reigniting the Zutara versus Katang debate 12 years after the show has ended, and I don't want to knock that, as I've made my own contributions to it, we should consider Katara's first love, Jet. She falls in love with him in episode 110, fittingly called Jet. This has never happened to her before, and she does not know how to react. She never had the opportunity to fall in love with anyone, considering that all the men older than Sokka left for the war. This is one of the few occasions when she's spent time with an older post-pubescent boy. She spent a little time with Haru in episode 106 and developed a little crush on him, but her relationship with Jet is much less ambiguous. Did she just fall in love with him because he was a good-looking older boy who held a lot of the same ideas and beliefs she had about defeating the Fire Nation? Is the relationship between them superficial, or is there more to it than that? Let's investigate. Jet's introduction in this episode is rather dramatic. There is a marked and intentional contrast between him and Sokka. While Sokka tries so hard to be seen as the leader of Team Avatar in order to satiate his macho ego, Jet does not have to try. He just is the leader. His charisma and daring has brought together a group of disaffected young people from around the Earth Kingdom to join his cause. When Katara complains about Sokka relying on instincts, Jet agrees with her, saying that instinct is a great way to get yourself killed. Ever since Hakoda left to fight in the war, the main male figure in Katara's life has been Sokka, who believes himself far smarter and more capable than he really is. As Katara makes clear early in the show, she's the one who's had to take care of both of them while Sokka has been off pretending to be a soldier. What a contrast between Sokka and Jet. Instead of being whiny and jealous, Jet makes sacrifices for the benefit of others. She feels enthralled. He says what she believes better than she could say it. True, it's not exactly surprising that a lonely, isolated 14-year-old girl would fall for this mysterious, enigmatic bad boy, but it's worth considering exactly what kind of bad boy Jet is. The decline of the bad boy archetype and what has caused it to become an insulting joke, a parody of itself, is that these new bad boys don't really believe in anything. They're cool and edgy just for the sake of being cool and edgy. There's nothing deeper to it. Below the veneer, there is nothing but hollowness. True, this is more realistic, I'd say, at least to the many bad boys that lurk the halls of any given high school, but there's a reason attraction with this type tends to fade. Then there is the archetypical American bad boy, think James Dean or Marlon Brando, who is constantly in conflict. His angst is real, and he's at war with himself. He feels isolated from the world, not because his parents don't like his tattoos or whatever, but because his chosen form of self-expression clashes against the dominant mores of his society. He has a soul, not just a facsimile of one. Now, you could say that Jet fits decently well into the second type of bad boy, but I believe he fits even better into a third type, the socially conscious bad boy, kind of positioning himself in opposition to the values of a corrupt and unjust society. He's a social crusader, or at least he thinks of himself in that light. It's not just about self-expression, but a difference in philosophy. This bad boy is usually associated with primal nature, with wild, untamed chaos, the crashing of the waves against the shore. He's often poetic or contemplative. Think Lord Byron or Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice. Jet fits this type fairly well. His connection to nature is made clear through the houses he and his team have in the trees, which, by the way, fits Avatar's subtle but very noticeable environmentalist streak. And also, his idealist stance appeals to the passionately optimistic Katara. Unlike the oaf Sokka, he actually has a track record of opposing the Fire Nation. He not only encourages her, but points to a possible future for her. While Sokka is jealous of Jet and Aang is merely mixed to positive, Katara is swept away by Jet's revolutionary posturing. Typically, Katara is perceptive and aware, deflating overblown images. But since Katara is so enthralled by Jet, so taken in by him, Sokka has to be the perceptive one. He even alludes to this in the episode himself, saying he does not want to be the wet blanket, but since Katara is busy, he has to be. This episode is as much about Sokka as it is about Katara. Now, it's not just a tribute to Sokka, like episode 304, Sokka's Master is. The whole purpose of that episode is to prove that even though Sokka is not a bender, he can handle himself just as well as the benders, and he can really grow into a fine and thoughtful warrior. What this episode is doing I find a lot more interesting. It's the one where Sokka really recognizes the difference between himself and Jet. Before, he had been wholeheartedly committed to smashing as many Fire Nation skulls as possible. But this is the episode where he really has to consider whether that's the most important thing, or whether there are some things that are more important than just wiping out the Fire Nation at all costs. That the triumph of the episode belongs to Sokka does not, though, mean that this episode doesn't continue to have incredible influence on Katara long after it's over. Jet appears in the show's second season, trying to redeem himself, but failing. The Dai Li capture him, brainwash him, and use him as bait. Katara does not trust him at first. When she confronts him, she both blushes and pledges to end him, leading to a quite hilarious scene in which Toph, who was not in the group when they first met Jet, curiously wonders if he was her boyfriend, and when Katara, flailing, says that he wasn't, Toph points out that she's lying and that she can tell just by sensing her vibrations. In all seriousness, though, Katara's feelings toward Jet are rather ambiguous. At the end, before his death, he tries to fight for Team Avatar against the Dai Li, and this leads to his ultimate downfall. Katara is devastated by his death. She pretends she is okay, but it is clear she is not. One could even argue that her willingness to give Zuko another chance in episode 220, The Crossroads of Destiny, despite Zuko having chased them around the world all throughout Season 1, and having taken the thing that was most important to her, her mother's necklace. Despite all that, she still cares about him, and she still believes he can be better. If Jet can prove he is more than a misguided narcissist, then why not Zuko? I didn't notice this parallel the first few times I watched the show, but I should have, because the show openly encourages us to compare Zuko and Jet. The two of them travel together in Ba Sing Se, starting off as acquaintances, then becoming friends, and eventually devolving into enemies. Jet is basically a failed Zuko. He tries to redeem himself, he tries to start over, but he is unable to stop himself from falling into his old beliefs, and even though he tries genuinely to make up for it at the end, by that point he has already chosen the path that leads directly to his demise. Of course, if you believe there is a romantic tinge in the scene between Zuko and Katara in the caves beneath Ba Sing Se, as I do, then those Jet and Zuko comparisons are even more cogent. Either way, it's a testament to Katara that Jet's betrayal did not cause her to become even more callous and less trusting. Though she hates herself for falling so easily, unthinkingly in love with him, she does not stop caring, even though that would have been easier. She does not even hate him, although she doesn't really realize this until the end. The world is not innately divided into heroes and villains. Sure, there are heroes and villains, but most people try to do the right thing and try to improve their lives and just get caught on the wrong path. Learning from Jet and from Zuko, she tries desperately, especially in Season 3, to not become one of those lost people, and instead help others find the path of light, find the path that leads toward virtue. So anyway, thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this one. Keep watching Avatar. It's one of the sharpest and most eloquent shows of the last 20 years. It's really brilliant, and it's easier to watch now that it's on Netflix, so go ahead, watch it, enjoy it. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.